let's go ahead
Okay.
and kick off. So, I guess, John, if you kind of want to let people in on your story, how you got started in recruiting and kind of what
Mhm.
that journey looked like to where you started your own agency and then now have helped at this point 400 people start and grow their own recruiting business.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I'll jump into my story, and I guess if I can, I'll preface that by maybe outlining kind of maybe take a minute to talk about what we're going to cover today. And yeah, Jason. Yep. Hey, Jason, welcome. Yeah, we're just about to start now. Actually, let's timestamp this at the 10:02 mark, so when we edit it, we can crop out everything else. So let's kick it off now, and then I'll bounce it back to you, Josh. All right, guys. Welcome to our first fireside chat. My name is John Chitanro. You might recognize me from all those ads that you see on the internet, but I'm really excited about this. I'm here joined by my team members, Jesse and Joshua. I'll be introducing them formally in a moment, but what I was hoping to do today is a few things. One is really share kind of my story, so that way, you see me other than just the ads and the marketing stuff online, but actually get to know kind of what I've done recruiting, my journey, the scars I've kind of picked up along the way, and hopefully somewhere along there can be bits and pieces that might be able to be useful for you in your journey of starting or growing your own recruiting business. And my colleagues Jesse and Joshua will be talking about the same thing. So once we kind of get into our personal stories and share that, then the second part of this chat is I'll kind of give you a walkthrough of a brand new program that we have that's a kind of low cost monthly subscription. A lot of people have been asking us, hey, I'm really excited about your flagship program. I'd love to join, but I know it's a big investment. It's $9,800, and it's a 6 month intensive thing, one-on-one coaching, lots of support, lots of accountability, and either they don't have the time for that type of commitment, or they don't have the financial resources at the moment. And so they've been asking us a lot lately for hey, can you create a low cost monthly subscription type of thing? And so we actually did that. And so we'll be talking about that and I'll give you a little demo of that today if you're interested. So stick to the end. And at the end, I'll show you how just by following the step-by-step process in the monthly subscription program, how you can actually get invited into our flagship $10,000 program at no additional cost. So just by having success and following the steps, you'll get invited. Actually, won't have to pay anything extra to join our full program and get one-on-one support from me and Jesse and Joshua. So with that being said, yeah, let me kick it. Actually, let me do the introductions now, and then I'll pass it to you, Josh, for you're so kind to moderate this fireside chat. So you guys know me, I've been recruiting for about 10 years plus. Started off as a agency recruiter, then corporate recruiter, then got laid off. And I keep telling people I wish I had the guts to say that I just opened up shop and moved down the street, and I didn't, that didn't happen. I got laid off and started my own recruiting business that way. So after I got laid off, I thought, you know what? Shoot, I have a few months of unemployment coming. I've always had this like thought, like, what if I started my own recruiting practice? Like, could I be successful? And I didn't know the answer to that, but I did know that if I never tried it, I would regret it. I knew that like one day I'd look back and be like, you know, after working in recruiting for 30 years or something, right? Like close to retirement, even if it was like a corporate job or a agency job, I'd wonder like, if I could turn back time and like start my own agency, then like would I have made it? Could I have like achieved my dream? So because I knew that, I said, you know what, let's just go for it. Worst case scenario, I can always look for another recruiting job. And so that led to me kicking things off, trying things on my own the hard way through trial and error without the tools, the strategies, the support that we now give to our program members. And that's really why I created a recruiting accelerator, because it's what I wish I had on day one when I first started my recruiting business, because I had no one to turn to, no support, no mentors. I made a lot of mistakes, very expensive mistakes. So things that I wish that I knew up front. So that's kind of my story. And it kind of led to one-on-one coaching, people who knew me from old recruiting jobs asking me for advice on how to start their own recruiting business. They saw that I was doing pretty well. And then that led into this full-blown program now where we've put over 300 people through our program, had lots of success. You guys have seen our testimonials, case studies, LinkedIn recommendations. And along the way, we've been iterating the program. So the program we have now is not the program that we launched like 4 years ago. We're actually on the 4.0 version of Recruiting Accelerator, and Jesse, who I'll introduce in a moment, has been helping upgrade that to the 5.0 version coming up in just a couple months. So that's me. For those who don't know my story, Jesse is someone who joined our team a few months ago recently, and very, very blessed and grateful to have him here because yeah, I'll give the high level overview and Jesse, you can kind of dive in a little bit deeper. But yeah, Jesse started his own recruiting business roughly 3 years ago with a couple partners, scaled it, built a team, and as of a couple months ago, exited and sold his agency for, was it 7 million? Is that accurate?
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
yeah, you're correct.
From scratch to growth to scale to sell at $7 million. And at the time we met, he's like, "Hey, I'm looking for my next thing. Like recruiting, I really want to give back though and share everything I've learned, all the lessons along the way." And so we got lucky and met each other and said, "Hey, how about we partner up, do a Marvel team up here, and you can help coach our program members and help partner together with me in our own recruiting business." So that's that. And Joshua, a lot of you guys have probably seen him around. He's our managing director. He runs all of our daily operations. He actually built Recruiting Soft, which is the all-in-one recruiting platform that we now teach and we give in our program. Basically, up until recently, like the version 2.0, 3.0 of the program, what I used to prescribe was, hey, to launch your recruiting business, go ahead and like subscribe to this list of about a half dozen tools, a LinkedIn automation tool, an email marketing software, a CRM, an ATS, a calendar booking page, a website builder, and basically follow these steps to like glue it all together and duct tape everything. And then when that worked, and the good thing is that really worked well, and all the results you see from people getting clients through LinkedIn automation have all been that process. But it would take people like a few weeks to launch. And a lot of people who are not technical might take it even longer, and it was expensive. So Joshua and I sat down with a prominent software development company a while ago and said, "Hey, is there a way that we can like pre-integrate this, make it cheaper and faster for people to launch?" And so Joshua did a lot of hard work and built Recruiting Soft, which is something that we use now for email automation, LinkedIn automation, and it helps people go to market very, very fast, like 4 to 8 hours instead of 2 weeks, and allows them to actually get in touch with hiring managers, get new clients really, really quickly. It's designed to print appointments on your calendar, 2, 3, maybe 4 calls a week with director to VP level hiring managers. So that's Joshua's high level intro. So that being said, Josh, I'll kick it back to you for the fireside chat.
Yeah, so I guess Jesse, I mean, that was a great introduction, but I know there's a lot more to your story. So if you kind of want to, yeah, just introduce people to your world for a little bit, what it took to go from idea to growing and then scaling and then having somebody say, "Hey, we want to buy what you've built," and kind of what all that process looked like and everything.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So I guess to get you up to speed of like where I was at when we started our agency. So I'd spent time in the agency realm, places like Boston, Atlanta, and Cincinnati. And then, like John, I was at a tech company. So I worked for Apple for a little while as a corporate recruiter. Didn't like the little fish, big pond. So I went back into agency. And probably 3 years ago, I'd finally gotten like the corner office, was managing a team onshore and offshore, and just kind of looked at the whole pie and thought, why am I not doing this myself? Like, why does there have to be a middleman in this? I feel like I have good enough relationships. So me and a couple other partners got together and started our agency 3 years ago, from the ground up. And yeah, walking out of those doors and leaving that corner office, like big salary job, was tough. It wasn't like a layoff situation or anything. It was taking that risk like on my own, and that was really, really hard. But as far as like building the company and what all went into it, I think the basis of everything like within this industry is relationships and being able to identify problems and provide solutions in a confident manner. So really like what started, I guess, like the success of the company was just showing up to any client calls and being solutions oriented and approaching it with a consultative approach where I wasn't trying to sell anything, but instead I was just trying to identify pain points within these clients that we targeted, which were anything ranging from startup to like enterprise level. And I feel like if you take that approach and you're able to really see like what's causing them pain and where a solution could really ease that, and you can be that person to really provide that, is where the relationships start. So from there, that was how we got like most of our kind of first clients, was just by identifying pain points and then being confident in our approach of providing solutions and really taking, I guess, like the side of the relationships come first and the business comes second. So it was a lot of long hours. It was a lot of face-to-face meetings and time on Zoom calls with not just the hiring managers, but the team members that they were looking to add, and making sure that everything meshed as far as like the culture and whatnot. Um, but we had some success within placing software developers, product managers, scrum masters, things within that realm. And those people that we placed spoke highly of us because we really focused on those relationships, not just with the client, but with the candidates as well, which kind of opened up the door for more business to come in. So I guess you fast forward to our first year, we had a private equity firm approach us and value us at, I think it was 1.7 million, I want to say. And that was just from the contracts that we had in place and the relationships that were had with these big companies. So uh, yeah, I know I said it and I don't mean to sound redundant, but it's just like putting the people first and making sure that you're able to identify problems and like really try to provide solutions and make like real relationships throughout the whole process, I think was the biggest factor in all of it. And then making sure that you have a process put in place and that you have a schedule that you're following day to day. It's not like a situation where you put in 15 hours one day and then you're burnt out and you can't work the next two. It's allotting your time day after day, and having consistency is what really grew the business, as well as just like focusing on the relationships and the people involved in it, and not so much the sell, because you're working with people, so you have to prioritize them, I feel like.
No, that's huge. And I know that's one of the things that we work on, especially when people come in the program with sales backgrounds. They're just like hardcore closing, like they want to twist the knife and everything else. And while that does work in a professional setting like recruiting, it tends to backfire more often than not. So having that people first, problem focused approach, yeah, as we've seen over the last month and a half, 2 months, everybody's signing clients, making placements. That small shift has been an absolute game changer. So
Hey, Josh, you might jump in really quick here.
go
Oh,
ahead.
I forgot to mention a quick housekeeping thing. We have chat disabled on this webinar, but we have Q&A enabled. So any questions you have, instead of raising your hand or trying to chat, just type that question in. Josh is going to moderate, and toward the end, we're going to answer every single question that you guys have. And for those who are just joining, welcome. Josh is going to be moderating this fireside chat. And after we kind of go through some questions that he'll ask us to really share our story in hopes of sharing a few nuggets that can help you guys start and grow your own recruiting business. I'll be giving you a demo of our brand new Recruiting Accelerator Plus. It's a low-cost monthly subscription. We'll talk about how you can get into our flagship program at no cost as well. So that's kind of really exciting. And every question, like I said, that you guys type in, we will answer in this fireside chat. But Jesse, I want to ask you kind of to share another story that I thought you kind of shared with us kind of offhand, but we were talking about stealth mode at one time. And I think a
Oh
lot
yeah.
of people, the majority of people that we work with say the same thing. Hey guys, I have a full-time job, a 9 to 5 job. I can't quit. I don't want to quit. But I want to keep my job and still start spin up a recruiting business part-time on the side in kind of what we call stealth mode. So that way my boss doesn't find out, I don't get in trouble. And at the same time, I don't step on anyone's toes. There's no conflict of interest, that sort of thing. And once my recruiting business on the side takes off and it at least matches my current income, I can just go all in. And that's my dream, to run my own business. And I think as you are kind of like auditing our training modules and helping us upgrade it to the 5.0 version, you came across that module on stealth mode, and then you share with me that you actually did it too, not knowing that we call it stealth mode. But would you mind sharing your your execution of stealth mode and how you kept your job and did this on the side as well?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so that was really interesting as I was like going through the audit to see that that's something that we're teaching. Because now after going through the whole process of building up my own company and then exiting it from there, is the first thing that we did is that me and all my partners ran the business within stealth mode without knowing that's what everything was being taught in the accelerator. So it was pretty interesting to see that. But yeah, it's you can definitely do it. It really wasn't that hard either. The reason that I did it personally is because I was in a slew of non-competes, and it just didn't make sense for me to put my face out there. And that was the hesitation for the first couple months before we started was how are we going to do this while not stepping on any toes or coming into a situation where we're in a lawsuit. And we came up with the idea of running the business within stealth mode. So instead of putting our faces out there or me being like the focal point of the business when it comes to the outreach and people they're connecting with, instead we utilized other people's LinkedIn profiles, like in our network, so family members and whatnot that just didn't have active ones. And we would reach out to candidates like via those profiles. We even had like LinkedIn Recruiter added to them, and that would be like how we did outreach. And then for email stuff, instead of it being like Jesse at my company's name was Sidon, Jesse at Sidon.com, it would just be like support at Sidon.com, or like my grandpa's name is Bob, so it'd be Bob at Sidon.com, and I had his picture. And we'd email, do like all of our business and everything. And then when we hopped on the phone, I would just do it from whatever our stealth mode profile was. It's like, hey, I'd love to connect you with like our director of recruiting. And then once I'm on the phone, I would just talk to them and I'd be able to orchestrate the whole thing. It was surprising, unless you've done it or you've heard someone else talk about it, it like sounds crazy. But going through it, it was so easy. And yeah, it's crazy that that's something we're already teaching, because that was like one of the nuggets of going through all of this. And I was like, man, if I could have done this again and someone could have told me and they had already gone through it, like, hey, this is going to work, just go on stealth mode and you just have to follow these steps and you'll be all good. Then it would have been so helpful. And I probably wouldn't have taken those extra 3 months that we could have been growing the business even more. So yeah, we ran the business on stealth mode for a year and a half before our non-competes were up. And like I mentioned earlier, guys, like at that 1 year mark, it was already almost at a $2 million evaluation. And we were like mind blown because no one even knew our name. It was just like a business and the
Can you tell me a
people.
story about the name tags you had at that meeting with the fake
Oh,
name? Like, I want you, I want you
yeah.
to share the fun stories here, like
Yeah. You want to hear the fun
the,
ones? Okay.
you know, we
Yeah.
all want to
So,
hear the fun ones because Jesse is very
okay.
polished and he talks at a very high level, but he has some really scrappy, like fun stories. And because I think people will get inspired by like, oh, you can actually pull this off. It's
Yeah.
crazy, but
This is,
it works, you know.
yeah, this is probably the coolest like work story I ever have.
Yeah.
Okay. So we had, so I was Bert Daughtry was like my code name. It was like James Bond type stuff. And then we had Bert Daughtry and Skybolt, which was so I was the director of recruiting, and then my other partner, he was the director of sales, and we would tag team like all of our like large corporate accounts. So, anyways, we get into Fortune 5 company. I'll just name them. So we were in with Kroger. We'd finally got on the vendor list, and we were just knocking down like the Robert Half, the tech systems and everything. We started from the very bottom on it, and in a year's time, we were top 5 on the vendor list, and no one knew our names. We were still in complete stealth mode. So COVID passes, and they have their first event downtown. And it's like in Cincinnati, the Kroger Tower is like a huge building. They invite you to the top floor, all like their top vendors, and you have dinner. You have name tags and everything. So it's our first time. No one knows that we've launched the business. We're still on stealth mode. So me and my other partner, we have our name tags on. It says Bert Daughtry and Sky Moore. Go on the elevator to the 36th floor or something. We hop out. We're like smiling. We've got like it's the first time we've worn like a suit or anything and been in front of the clients. We're so excited. Walk out of the elevator, and lo and behold, right in front of us is our managing director and VP of sales from our last company that we're in a non-compete with. They turn around and see us, and their faces like drop. They're like, "Oh my God!" And that's when we like officially launched, like, yeah, it's actually Jesse and my other partner Dalton. And we've been running this whole business for the last year and a half, completely like underneath everything, and no one even know about it. So it was that yeah, that was like the coolest thing ever, is to see their faces, like they were in disbelief too. And for us, it was like kind of cool. Like, yeah, we ran the whole thing in stealth mode, and it was completely fine.
And I think it's completely fair too, because like I remember when I was in that similar shoes as well, as like I was doing all the work, like helping get clients, sourcing candidates, getting candidates, offer negotiation. I was doing all the work, but when I compared what I was building for my company and what I was taking home on a paycheck, it was such a huge discrepancy that it felt like soul crushing. And that's when I
Oh
knew,
yeah.
for at least for me, like, okay, I think it's time to actually earn what I feel like I'm worth. I'm doing all the work and I'm making my boss's boss rich, right? And I'm never going to achieve my financial goals if I just keep this path. I knew that. So I'm glad that, yeah, you had the same thing and you did it too. So guys, stealth mode works. You can get into Fortune 5 companies in stealth mode. It's not that hard. And so I think a lot of that, thanks for sharing that story, by the way. I had no
Yeah.
idea that your partner also was in stealth mode, but uh, it's because so many times I talk to people and they say, I've been thinking about this for years, but I don't want to get in trouble. I might have a non-compete, or I don't want to have any potential conflict of interest. And that stops them from ever even trying to do
Mhm.
this to achieve their dreams. So guys, we've cracked the code on stealth mode. It works. And yeah, so thank you for that. So as evidenced by even Jesse's story. Yes. Anyways,
Yeah.
Josh, thanks for letting me interject there.
All good. So yeah, since we're talking about like humble beginnings, and this could be either in your own business or like whenever you were working as a recruiter in a job, what were some of the obstacles that you ran into trying to make that first placement? Like just to prove to yourself, hey, this is legitimate, and kind of, yeah, what was that like?
Oh, maybe I'll share one. It's more of like in terms of humble beginnings. Like when I first started, well, yeah, when I first started, I had no idea if I could even like do this. Like not only so after I got laid off, I didn't immediately think, okay, cool, I'm gonna start my own recruiting business. I thought of it, but I'm like, I had the same exact fears and doubts that all you guys have who are listening probably. Like, why would someone who work with little me when they could work with the Robert Half, the Randstad, the big corporate recruiting agency with tons of resources? Why would they choose me? And could I even make it? Like, how could I even stand out in the market? I had all these limiting beliefs. And if it wasn't for the support of my past clients, I would have never had the guts to start my own recruiting business. So what happened was, as I was getting shoved out the door, I got laid off. My whole department did. Basically, the agency I was working for was priming itself to also exit. And so they're like, we got to consolidate departments. This team, all right, you guys are out. Even though I was performing, the rest of my team, like, they weren't as profitable as like their bread and butter staffing department. So I got laid off, and I said, hey, can I at least um, call my clients and let them know like what's going on, because I was doing full desk. I was getting clients and getting candidates, and they said, "Nah, we'll call them for you. Just get out." And so when I got actually I stopped by the bar first, had a couple beers to lick my wounds, and when I got home, I'm like, you know what? Screw that. Like they should hear from me. So I had them all on my cell phone. So I called all the VP level hiring managers. One of them was Meraki Networks. We're like since we're listing names here. This is before they got bought by Cisco, but they're a huge networking
Mhm.
company. I called them, and it's because Jeff Gould. I placed tons of network engineers with him. I said, "Hey Jeff, John here. Listen, bad news. My whole department got fired, including me. We got laid off. So I won't be able to send you any more candidates. So just I want you to hear from me." And he goes, "Well, you know, screw them, John. Why don't you start your own thing? And like I'll sign with you. I want to keep working with you. You've done great work for us." So I'm like, "Wow." Thank you. I said, can I take the weekend and think over? Because I was still like shell shocked. Like, is this opportunity really happening? Then I called my second best client. Her name was Tina Strout. She was a company called Invariant Systems in San Jose. They do like QA engineers and yeah, government software. So I call her. I placed a lot of Java engineers with her, and she said the same thing. John, like, just start your own thing. Like, I'll sign with you. Same terms, same fees. Like, all good. Like, who cares, right? And so that weekend, I just took my old boss's agreement that I used for years. I just swapped my name with it and I sent it to them, and it came back signed on Sunday. And I thought, holy cow, like, I guess I'm in business. I need to let me give it 30 days. And if 30 days nothing happens, I can always go back and get it. I was still I'm not sure. Like it was like I was like one of those actors that were auditioning for like Marvel movies, but they're still like waiting tables because they're like, oh, I'm not gonna get it, right? So I was like, this is too good to be true. Um, I'll expect to live on unemployment for months and months. But it worked out, made placements, and then I'm like, well, as most of you know, in recruiting, the terms are net 30 typically. So if I place somebody and they start today, that's their first day of their job, my invoice isn't due for 30 days. And I think it was like 18K fee, which I was like, holy, like $18,000. Like I've been used to like breaking my back for like much less, you know, 1,000 here, 2,000 there out of the whole fee. And now it's getting the whole fee. So I thought, well, okay, I need to wait 30 days to get this fee. So I might as well keep working for another 30 days instead of looking for another job. And then they made another placement. And so I had to work for another 30 days. And then, 5 years went by, right? We scaled up. So that was at least my story of how I was even confident that I could even do this. But yeah, that really made me realize how important, at least it was for me, to have the support from somebody external, right? Because I didn't have like the attaboy that I could give myself to like actually do it if it wasn't for an external forces saying, yeah, man, like you can do this. Absolutely. We want to work with you. Like we'll sign with you like that. So I'm very grateful to those two people. And I think, but not everyone has that type of support, right? Like I was lucky that I was doing client relations, so I had those client relationships. But most people who recruit just recruit. They don't have access to clients to give them support. So I feel like in our program, like we get to be that guiding hand, that support, saying, yes, you can do it, follow the steps. And I think part of this fireside chat is to share our stories. So that way, hopefully you can see some semblance of you guys in our story. So that way you can see for yourself that yes, it is possible. Like it's more than possible. Now that it's possible without any help with with our program, with people like us who can give you the mentorship systems and processes, it becomes probable, right? It's more likely than not that you'll have success in recruiting if you follow someone with a proven game plan and who's dedicated to help you. So uh, that's my piece.
What about you, Jesse?
Yeah, I mean, 10 years ago, I was somebody's sourcing assistant. I wasn't even considered good enough to, like source by myself. So it's like that alone of people and clients like instilling confidence in me and investing uh, into like my success, and then me like really taking the bull by its horns and realizing that like more than anything, you're controlling your own destiny as long as you have the relationships to back like the business need. Um, I think like something that John talked about in there that like really hit me like once I started my own firm was that people follow people. It doesn't matter what the firm's name is. It doesn't matter how big they are or anything. At the end of the day, the reason that they're working with you and they want to continue to work with you is because you as an individual. And like John said, I mean, I really think the client relationships that I have was what instilled confidence in myself. Like when I started my firm, is them always talking about like the pain points they had with working with me had nothing to do with my service or the team. It had everything to do with like the corporate structure around there of having to work with this big like staffing firm entity and like all the back office and everything. And if I just had my own agency, then I could make all that a lot better because it would be a boutique firm. It would be one that I had control of when it comes to the way we operate, the way that we invoice and bill, like just like the overall culture that I'm trying to cultivate there. So, I mean, I think the beginning is that not having a paycheck for the first 6 months and just reinvesting everything into the business because you believe so much into it, that was humbling on its own. To and it's like the crazy thing is that I wouldn't have had to do that if I would have had someone else there, so I didn't fail so much like in the beginning of it. So I guess that's what like the humbling part of all of it is just to do all that work and not be paid because you're believing so much in yourself and the dream that you have. Um, and the
Mhm.
reason that I think I feel so drawn to this and being able to coach other people through it is because if I would have had someone there, I wouldn't have had to go through all that heartache. Like you don't have to go through all those struggles. Um,
Yeah.
but I didn't know about anything else out there that like would be able to help me through it or like any type of mentorship because in a way, like people do want to withhold like their own industry secrets and things like that. So it's a unique kind of experience when someone else wants to knowledge transfer with you and kind of give you all the information they have. Like myself, like my main goal in all of this when I work with people, anyone in like I feel like 200 people that I talk with in their businesses. I just want to give all the information in my head and any type of strategy or skills that I can transfer over to them, so it makes their life easier, and they can expedite this whole process. Because you can really do this in like a matter of 30 to 90 days, and you'll have a business like up and running, ready to go. Like you can be profitable in 30 to 90 days, with everything that I can tell you, as long as you like follow through with it. And if I would have had someone else there for me, it would have made everything so much easier, where I didn't have to go through all that struggle for like the first half year.
So that's interesting because that parlays into my next question. If you were starting over completely from scratch today, no contacts, because you guys kind of both benefited from
Yeah.
that, and most
Mhm.
people starting won't have that luxury, but no contacts. You're starting out like, hey, I've just heard recruiters can make 20 to 30%. Like, I want to see if that's possible. What would you do to fire up a business right now and just kind of start stacking small wins?
Yeah, I'll give a short answer to that and give Jason time to kind of maybe share as well. So if I were brand new, I had, my mom and my LinkedIn connection. That's it. One person on LinkedIn or no LinkedIn profile. What I would, and this is kind of what we teach too, right, in our program, like uh, how to set up recruiting businesses. I would build a LinkedIn profile to 500 connections, because with LinkedIn, if you can see that if you have more than 500, it says 500 plus connections. People can't see if you have 501 connections or 5,001 connections, and they can't really see who you're connected with. They don't really look that deep. As long as you have 500 people on LinkedIn, that's like social proof that, okay, you have a network. So part of what we teach in the program is to leverage tools like the LinkedIn automation first to grow your network and just add people who will accept your connection request. So we actually we point the LinkedIn automation tools towards these LinkedIn networking groups called Lions, right? LinkedIn Open Networkers, where I have 50,000 connections, because they'll connect with anybody. These are like real estate people, like multiple MLM people you're not going to do business with, but they'll quickly accept your connection. And so that way, within a couple of weeks, you can get 500 plus connections. Now, once you have that many connections, then you're kind of more ready to go to market. Because if you think about it, if a hiring manager might consider you, if you want them to consider you to be a recruiter and you have like 80 connections, they're like, this doesn't make sense. Like, a recruiter should have a big network of candidates in my industry to help me. And this person barely has any connections. So either they're brand new and I don't want to work with them, or they're just bad. It doesn't make sense. So a lot of people don't get that. So that's one. And then two is, I would think about my niche hard. Like, that's why, like, the very first pillar, the first thing that we do, the thing that Jesse does with new clients on when he does his one-on-one onboarding calls, right? Jesse personally onboards every new member of the program, is he takes them through our niche like discovery process. Because the last thing that we want people to do, and what I've done in the beginning, is like, I've run really fast in the wrong direction. I'm like, wait, I have to pivot, run fast this way, pivot, and then you're just wasting time like on the hamster wheel trying to figure out like what's not working. So we actually will combine, like, yeah, your niche. So I would be thinking, if I was brand new, okay, what background do I have? What type of industry have I worked at? Like, what can I talk about fairly intelligently? And ultimately, if I talk to a hiring manager at a company, and that hiring manager is explaining to me the challenges of the people they're struggling to hire, what skills they're looking for, what the requirements are. If I can understand that pretty well, that's probably a good niche for me to start in, because then I can add value, right? So if you've been working in IT, that makes sense, right? Start an IT recruiting business. If you worked in legal, if you worked in healthcare, if you worked in healthcare as like a nursing assistant and you want to jump to legal recruiting, that's such a huge gap that if a hiring manager start talking about legal jargon and they see that your eyes kind of glaze over at any point, hiring managers have a very good intuition, and they'll know quickly that, like, this person doesn't really understand what I'm talking about, and that's gonna obviously, you're gonna get a no there. So yeah, those are the two things: is grow your LinkedIn network and pick a niche in which, and by thinking, okay, if I talk to a hiring manager in this niche, am I gonna understand their world? Are they gonna see that I understand their world? And of course, we have a whole process that goes much deeper, but that would be kind of high level stuff that I think would apply to most people who are just looking to get started. How about you, Jesse?
Yeah, it's all about like your foundation is what you should focus on building before, like exactly as you said, John, is like don't get your engine revs up so much that you're going in the wrong direction the whole entire time, and then you have to backtrack just to get where you actually needed to be because you just don't know where you're going yet. So yeah, seeing is believing in a lot of ways when it comes to recruiting. And like John said, with trying to get your LinkedIn profile built up would be probably the first thing. 500 connections, making sure that you have like a strong um, like experience section. I would work on getting recommendations by any of like your peers. So like past colleagues, anyone like that, just talking about you like at a high level. Make sure you have a good profile picture on there. Um, and yeah, I mean, your niche is very, very important. And I would agree that I would lean heavily on your past experiences, like play into your strong suit when it comes to starting off. So, like for instance, my background's in tech, so it just makes sense to be there. It doesn't mean that you can't veer in a different direction if later on down the process you feel like that's kind of where your clients or your relationships are at. Um, but yeah, I'd get the LinkedIn profile set up. That would be one thing. 500 connections would be ideal. And then I'd start like posting also, posting on the feed, just like insightful information, articles. Networking would be a really big thing. That could be in groups. That could be just like reconnecting with people that you want to know or want to have conversations with. Um, and I think doing research into the niche that you're thinking about and trying to decide like what type of companies you want to target or you want to work with, because that'll help you understand like the type of, I guess, like image that you want to aim for, that you want your clients to be seeing when they reach out to you, you reach out to them. Is like, for instance, if you want to work with more startups, I would gear your profile more like within that realm of kind of like your style. If you want to be more corporate, I'd probably touch things up a little bit and make it more in line with that. And if you want to be more like mid to small size, I would just focus on positioning yourself as like a boutique firm that has more like personalized services. But those are probably the first things. And then I think I kind of already touched on it, but I would tap into anybody in my network that I think could send me in the right direction of a potential client. So maybe you have a really strong colleague that now moved on to another company and they could potentially get you plugged in with a hiring manager there within like the niche that you're looking to go into. Reconnect with them, kind of drop them a line and let them know what you're thinking about doing. Because at the end of the day, like people, I think they get too in their head that they think when I start, like, where am I going to start? Like, who am I going to reach out to? Is it going to be weird or anything? Put yourself in their shoes. If someone reached out to me with good intentions and I had a relationship with them already, I would want to help them out and see them succeed. And I would point them in whatever direction possible, as long as they were coming in with a good approach and it wasn't salesy, but it was more so like, hey, I'm just trying to provide a talent solution. I'm passionate about this. I think I can do a good job. I'd love it if you could connect me to this next person or open the door where I could at least just have a conversation. So yeah, I'd start with the LinkedIn profile, focus on your niche, and then lean into any pre-existing connections so that you can build out your network. And then I think you'd have a strong foundation to kind of build off of there and move on to that next step of getting your first client.
Yeah, one thing I'll add to that that I should have mentioned earlier is like having I think I would make sure that you have a certain mindset clear. And the mindset is that like you have, and I'm not, hopefully this doesn't put pressure on people, but you really only have one chance to make a good first impression to a new company that you might
Yeah.
want to target. And what I mean by that is like in recruiting, I think unless you work in industry, you might not be aware, but like most recruiting agencies, it's the 80-20 rule. The 80-20 rule is very prevalent, meaning 20% of their clients give them 80% of all their business. And most agency recruiters, who make, $1 million or more a year, they have like 2 or 3 clients that give them repeat business over and over. These are called key accounts. Now, the thing is, obviously you want to have as many key accounts as possible because having repeat business means you don't have to go out and keep selling yourself. The challenge is you don't know from the first meeting who's going to be a key account or who might give you one position, you fill it, and then you don't hear from them again because they're not growing that quickly. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So at least for me, I always remember treating every new client call, every new potential opportunity as a $250,000 deal. Because I'm like, this person might be a key account that gives me job orders every single month worth $250,000 a year. And so with that in mind, I would make sure that people at least try not to wing it, right? Like a lot of people say, I'll give it a try, I'll start messaging. And what always kind of hurts me is that when we meet somebody and they've been trying this for like 8 months, and they're like, yeah, I've reached out to every single like I really want to do this industry, and I reach every single company, every single hiring manager, large to small, and no one's getting back to me. So, but I really want to stay in this niche. What do I do? I'm like, well, you just basically burnt all this. You burnt your list. You burnt all the list of all these possible companies because you're just kind of winging it. And because once someone says no and they close that door, close it, it's very hard to reopen that door. Because when you reach back out LinkedIn 6 months later, hey, it's John here. I know you said no last time, but how about we talk about your hiring needs? And they can see on LinkedIn that in a thread they say no to you already. So if they said no before, they're gonna be like, hey, thanks, but no thanks, right? And so they don't realize that they're just burning through opportunity cost by not having the right approach, the right tools, all that stuff. So I would say learn the best approach to give yourself the best chance of making a good first impression. It doesn't have to be from us. It can be from anybody that can teach you how to do this the right way, because like it's like a first date. You have one chance to make a good first impression. If that first date goes bad, you're never gonna get a second date. You have to just, yeah, what I mean? It's tricky. So that's something I would just at least make sure that people who are brand new keep that in mind.
Yeah. There was one more thing I was going to say, Joshua, too, that I was thinking about when Josh brought that up is another thing that I think is important. If I was starting off, I would do this is I would build a consistent schedule. So I would really utilize my calendar that like I allotted a certain amount of time every day, so that I could build up momentum and create like habits. Because that's going to be a big part of growing your business is trying to have repeated actions day over day. And that's going to provide like a good set of data as far as your output, and what you're going to get back as far as results. So I'd spend like 30 minutes a day on networking, 30 minutes a day maybe working on like my LinkedIn profile, professional network, and then maybe 30 minutes a day just like researching potential clients I want to work with or the industry, so that I'm up to speed when I get on the phone. Like John said, like I can talk the talk and walk the walk, and I don't just sound like I'm BSing them. I can actually provide value and level with them as far as like my understanding of what they might be looking for and what pain points they have.
Yeah. Hey, Josh, let's do it's 43 past the hour. Maybe do one or two more questions, and then save room for the end for the and a lot of people wanted to see the demo and see the tour of the new the new subscription platform that we have. And then we promise that we get to all the questions. So I want to make sure we have enough time to get all those questions answered too.
So, yeah, I guess for the last one, and Jesse, you kind of touched on this a little bit whenever you were sharing your story, but if there was one thing you guys could have had that would have made your lives easier whenever you started, and like I said, I think Jesse, you said like tapping into mentors and things like that.
Yeah, that would have been the
Yeah,
biggest
just
thing.
kind of, yeah, what would have been, and it may be similar for you too, John, kind of what was the one thing you like would have made life easier for you whenever
that's
outside of
easy.
mindset.
To me, that's easy because it's the tools. Like it's funny, like in the 1.0 version of our program that I launched, before I met any of you guys, I was doing everything by myself. It's just me doing the 1.0 version about almost 4 years ago. I was teaching exactly what I was trained to do at a recruiting agency, which is make like 100 dials per day, 100 cold emails, and just leave voicemails and follow up, and just be a beast. And the good thing is that works because hard work pays off, and it does work well. But when I tried to roll that out in our program, it was it was slow for people to get results because most people didn't have 4, 5, 6 hours per day to do nothing but business development, and some people didn't want to do cold calls and just didn't want to do that. And so what I did was I had to actually pause enrollment and be like, you know what, I'm not taking on any new clients because for some reason this kind of like nobody likes to cold call. No one wants to smile and dial. Gee, I wonder why, right? So what I did was I hired industry experts in marketing. I hired a LinkedIn automation guru. I hired an email marketing coach and learned those skill sets that I had never learned before, because there's literally no recruiting job out there that you can get that is on day one. They would say, hey, welcome to this job as a recruiter. We're going to teach you how to use automation tools to make your life easier. Like that, the world of recruiting and the world of business development, B2B marketing, they don't overlap. Instead, you are that tool. They're like, hey, welcome. You're here for 9 hours. Here's a list. Go ahead and smile and dial. We'll run a report at the end of the week. We'll track how many cans you submitted, how much volume you're doing, and people just do that over and over and over again. We had one person, I think, Roseanne, who said she's relaunching her own recruiting business, and I guarantee that she's probably doing this type of approach because that's what everyone's trained on. Just volume and blood, sweat, and tears, right? Put elbow grease into it. And it wasn't until I learned the automation tools, I tested it and I put it into the 2.0 version of the program, and like it flipped the switch. All of a sudden, people were spending 6 hours. They went from spending 6 hours a day to send like 20 client reach outs to like doing 150 per day on autopilot. And with that sheer volume, like it just magic happened. So it was really, and of course, since then we've evolved the tools to be more than just automation. It's a lot more personalized now. But yeah, not having the right tools and not even knowing the tools existed, I just thought I would just do the same thing over and over again, and then people just end up getting burnt out. Or they have success, but the moment they get 2 or 3 clients, they pause on business development because they want to focus on what we call recruiting, what's closest to the dollar, filling the roles. And when those roles dry up, they have to go back and do sales again. And like there's pivoting, and that roller coaster of revenue, the roller coaster of emotions is just like, it's soul crushing. It's draining. So for me, like if I knew that there were tools out there that could actually allow me to print calls on my calendar every week with hiring managers, and that once I do have enough job orders to focus on, that I never have to turn off the automations. Like I always want to have those um, automations running because I always want to have those new fresh job orders. Because if you're a recruiter, the new job orders, the fresh ones, are the ones that close the fastest, not the job that's been open for 8 months that you're still chipping away at, hoping one day that you might be able to fill, right? So once people have that client acquisition engine running in the background, it just made everyone's life so much more effective. People made way more money, way faster. And that's something that I didn't even know existed because no one ever taught that to me. And so once I learned, I was kind of pissed. Like, why didn't anyone show me that I didn't have to do 8 hours a day of just business development, that I could just like take the message I would normally send by hand, put into a tool and let that fire off by itself and just sit and forget it, right? So to me, that was the biggest thing.
Cool. Sweet. So I think, and Jesse, you kind of mentioned the coaching and mentorship side, which I guess is a good transition into kind of what we're working on rolling out for you guys kind of at this point now. We've got it ready to go because we've been asked multiple times from people. So John, I guess if you want to share your screen and kind of give people
Yeah.
a look at what the tools looks like, what the support looks like, and kind of the steps that go into.
Yeah, I'd be happy to. So I'll give you guys this little, I'll pop the hood here or pull back the curtain to show you kind of what it is that we teach the processes. And hopefully, at least if you just, even if you don't kind of join the program, but you see kind of the strategies that we're laying out, hopefully that helps you guys too. So I want this to be valuable for everyone. But as I was saying at the beginning of the webinar, a lot of people have been asking us for a long time for a lower cost monthly subscription type of program, because people generally know now that our flagship program, Recruiting Accelerator, it's like a 6-month intensive thing. Jesse does one-on-one calls with every person. We have daily coaching calls with me and Jesse and you, Joshua. So it's a lot of support, but it's a $9,800 program, right? It's basically $10,000. And a lot of times people don't have that financial investment. They're not able to do that, or don't have the time investment required for that intense type of program. But that being said, they still want to give us a try. They still want to work at this, and they still want the opportunity. And up until now, I mean, I feel bad, but we haven't had a way to give this to them because our program is 10,000, but it's a big investment designed to give you big results, and we guarantee those results. So anyways, the 3 of us have been working hard here to generate, actually, to give you guys what you've been asking for, which is a month-to-month program. And let me share my screen and show you what it looks like. So drum roll, we are rolling out today Recruiting Accelerator Plus. Recruiting Accelerator Plus. And as you can kind of guess by the plus, it sounds like a Disney Plus, Hulu Plus, right? It's a monthly subscription. Like I have all the subscriptions on my television, and I'll move it actually here. I'll look here at my big screen. But essentially, it's our program kind of distilled and delivered on a month-to-month, no contract at all. It's only $297 per month. So very low cost. And here is the learning platform. It's called School. And in the homepage, this is where we'll be posting recordings of coaching calls that we have every single week. So if you ever miss a coaching call, no worries, you can jump in. And also Jesse and I will be posting lessons in the main community. But the main focus and the heavy lift that's done in the program is the curriculum. And so this is something that me, Jesse, and Josh, we sat down with for a while, and we're trying to figure out, okay, how much of our flagship program do we put into the Plus program? Because like, do we want to overwhelm them by giving them everything? Should we just give them the first 20% of how to get clients, and that way just make sure they get started on the right foot? Or do we like give everybody like the first couple chapters of every module just to give them like a high level overview of everything and then hope that they can execute? And so at the end of the day, I was like, you know what? Screw it. Let's give them everything, like all the modules. So what you guys see here is the entire curriculum that's taught in our flagship program, the $10,000 program. All the lessons are here, from how to set up your recruiting business, how to, all the service agreement contracts, the legal stuff, the client acquisition systems, all the tools. Like, we don't hold anything back. Like, all the tools, all the contracts, all the lessons, from how to get clients, the sales call scripts when you're talking to potential clients, all the way down to how to source, recruit candidates, offer negotiation, running your business, invoicing, setting up your EIN number, LLC stuff, bank accounts. It's all here. There's nothing that you could ever need to run your recruiting business that's not delivered here. And I know, because over the last 4 years of doing this, we've been updating all of our curriculum. So you get all the curriculum here, and it's really designed to be a self-study program, right? You have a 9 to 5 job probably, so weekends, evenings, you watch these video lessons. Now at this point, we also had another meeting, right? Jesse, and we were like, okay, well, do we give them the curriculum and say, hey, good luck, this works, trust us, just follow the steps, and wish you the best? Or do we want to, like, can we do more? So we decided, you know what, let's add coaching on top of this too. So here is the coaching call calendar. Every Wednesday, Jesse will be coaching a Q&A coaching call. And as you guys know by now, with his background of starting, scaling, and selling his recruiting business for $7 million, he's well equipped to answer any of your questions. I'm more involved in our flagship program, so I won't be on there, but Jesse is definitely gonna be able to answer all your questions. And Thursdays, Joshua is there to help answer questions on Recruiting Soft, right? You guys probably know by now, that's our all-in-one LinkedIn automation, email automation, basically business in a box. It's an all-in-one platform to run your recruiting business. And if any questions about, and Joshua, as you guys might know, is a professional copywriter too, in addition to being a tech whiz. So anything about what to say to potential clients, your messaging, your follow-up messages, how to respond to potential clients, optimizing your LinkedIn profile. We talked about that today, making sure your profile is dialed in to attract clients. So Joshua can help you write your copy for your website, your LinkedIn profile, all that good stuff. We really pour ourselves into our coaching. So every single week you'll have 2 coaching calls on top of the entire curriculum. And so basically, I think below, when we do the replay here, actually, Joshua, if you don't mind, will you mind dropping the link to this for people who might want it? And I'll show you what it looks like from a non-user. It looks like this. So I give a little, basically, I just recorded what I shared with you guys here, and you just click this button to join now. It's $297 a month. If you don't have a school account, I'll ask you to create an account, and then you can upload your card info, and you'll have instant access to everything. So that's very, very exciting. Jesse, Joshua, anything I missed about the Plus program?
Yeah, so we actually just had a question come up from Dan, and he said, "Can you switch to the mentorship from the Accelerator Plus after you have income coming in?" So I think it's worth kind of letting people know about the challenge that we're issuing.
Good. Yeah, good. Yeah, great question, Dan. Thanks, Josh, for reminding me. So, yeah, there's just 2 ways to transition to our full program from here. What we do is, as you go through this, let's say after 5 months, 7 months, you feel like you're ready for the full coaching, well, you can apply 100% of what you have paid for the monthly subscription into our flagship program. So you can completely reinvest that, and you won't have any loss there. You can apply all your credits. That's kind of a great thing. And then, last night we met again, and we're like, you know what? I thought what would be fun is this. We want to throw out a challenge for you, kind of a reward, a little carrot for you guys to chase, if you would, which is, as long as you, just by following the steps that we lay out in the program, jumping on the coaching calls with Jesse and Josh, you will get clients, because we'll show you how to set up the automations. You will get clients, and we'll teach you how to recruit and place the candidates so that way you can fill the roles and make your placement, make your first 15, 20K placement within hopefully 90 days time, right? 30 days to get a client, about 90 days is our KPI to get a new client and make a placement in day 90. Now, the challenge is once you make your first placement in the Plus program, we will invite you into the flagship program at no additional cost. That's a pretty good deal, right? So basically, just by enrolling in the $297 per month program and following the steps, jumping in the coaching calls, getting Jesse and Joshua to help you, and just follow our proven process. Once you make your first placement, you'll get invited to the flagship program, the $10,000 program, at no additional cost. In that program, we have a whole community of people you'll have access to. You can do split deals with people, meaning if you have a candidate and they have a client, you can do split deals with them and chop the fee 50-50. And Jesse and myself, we do daily coaching calls. It's not just once a week, it's every single day. And we do one-on-one calls too. So here the calls are a group format, but in the flagship program, we actually do one-on-one calls with you and give you that hands-on mentorship. And so that's kind of our way of saying, hey, we appreciate you trusting us with our process, delivering and actually doing the work that we ask of you. And once you get your first placement that you keep all of, we'll invite you to flagship because we want to help you kind of take things to the next level. So hopefully that answers Dan's questions. We have about 3 minutes, Josh. So if you want, would you mind rattling off questions and we can answer them? And again, can you drop the link to this school page so people can enroll?
I dropped that in the chat, in the Zoom chat, so you guys should be able to see it. And if you're interested, go ahead. There's a video on that page that's got more information, and I can kind of let you guys in on.
And do they see the chat? Does that go to everybody?
I believe so.
Yeah. So guys, if you don't see the link to enroll, would you type in a question in the Q&A and just make sure that you guys see there?
So let me, I just realized it actually only goes to hosts and attendees.
Yep.
So let me, drop it in here. And there will be an email. So Dan just asked if there will be an email going out with details, and there will be. I'll shoot one out.
Yeah, so maybe you can post it as an answer or post a question and answer it in the Q&A so they have that link.
Yep. So
cool. And of course, you can always reach out to us, John at Recruiting Accelerator, or Jesse or Joshua. We can get you this link to enroll in the Plus program. But yeah, as you figure that out, Josh, what other questions do we have?
So Yassine asked if we have case studies. We have enormous case studies. If you go to our website or actually John's LinkedIn profile, and hundreds at this point. So 4 questions. When do you estimate the tech hiring will pick up again?
It's already picked up. I think, it's already picked up.
It's already back.
What you're doing. Yeah, you just have to have the process systems, and people are in our program are making placements like every single week within tech. So it's already there.
Yep. So do you recommend website, LLC, business name as well prior to starting?
I'd say you don't have, a lot of people worry about like the admin stuff, like getting a bank account and an EIN tax ID number, incorporating the LLC and S Corp. All that stuff is nice, getting a fancy logo. But at the end of the day, like I'll ask people, hey, how many appointments do you have on your calendar in the next 30 days with potential clients? And it's 0 all the time. And also, how many potential clients have you reached out to? It's always 0. And those are the revenue generating activities that you should be focusing on. And that's why we focus so much on client acquisition. So I'd say don't worry about that stuff. We'll help you. We'll tell you when to focus on it. But until you have a client that you made a placement with and they're ready to pay you your invoice, that's when you have 30 days to set up all that stuff. In the beginning, the best use of your time is to focus on getting the automation set up, all the client acquisition systems dialed in.
Okay. So Yassine asked, they only have 4 months of recruiting internship where they learned a lot and some recruiting volunteering work, but they receive a lot of insight from some recruiters telling them not to start a business until they have at least 2 years of experience. What would you recommend?
I'd say go to our LinkedIn, go to my LinkedIn profile, go to our homepage, click on testimonials, and you'll read countless stories of people with 0 recruiting experience making $25,000 placements. And I guarantee those people that are giving the advice to not do it, they haven't done it themselves. So it's like taking bad advice. It's like taking financial advice from your broke uncle, right? right?
Yep. That's
Don't
what I
do
was
that.
gonna
Yeah,
say.
it's not necessary, and I'm not just saying that because you guys are all here. It's like I've done this, and I'm telling you that it's not necessary. I would just ask you guys to trust me on this one. I wouldn't lead you astray. You don't need 2 years of experience. All you need is just a blueprint and a strong work ethic. That's really what you need, not 2 years of doing cold calls for 9 hours a day.
Yep.
Yeah, at the end of the day, the client is not going to care how long you've been doing this. All they'll care is about one thing, which is, do you have somebody for me? And as long, if you follow our process for how to find candidates, the best ones, we'll show you how to bring those candidates to the table. And when you come to the call with 1 or 2 great candidates, they're not going to grill you about anything else. Like, how long have you been doing this? Like they're like, wow, you brought me this amazing candidate just off looking at my job description on my careers page. Holy cow! Like, they're gonna assume that you can actually find them the right person because you already are starting off the call with value. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. So, let's see here. Can you start a recruiting business as a side hustle and then move it to being your full-time gig? I mean, that's kind of
That's the main thing. That's the main thing that we do for
that's yeah,
people.
literally. I'd say 95% of our clients have a full-time job and they're using recruiting to replace their income and escape what we call the golden handcuffs. So, all right. And the anonymous attendee said the FTC has banned non-competes. So that's
That's right. I saw
Yeah,
that.
huge
That's
news
pretty
over
great
interesting.
here.
news.
Yep. Um, all right, what do we got here? So
I had some people
Yeah.
call me yesterday actually about that. I didn't even tell you guys about that. I had a couple people call me yesterday. They're like, "Hey, you see the non-competes are out. Let's get a call for next week. I think now's a good time."
okay. And now, yeah, that's huge.
Yeah.
So Nicole was thinking about joining the flagship program and asked if that would still be a good idea given the 297 offering. Um,
Yeah, Jesse, you want to talk about the differences? Because Jesse is very hands-on with the coaching in both programs.
Yeah. Okay. So I would say this, if you're ready to really commit, and you have the time and like, if you're really geared up, because I mean, I'm understandable and I think I'm softer than probably most people with my approach, but like I am going to hold you accountable and really push to make sure that your business is up and running and that things are working the right way. If you're ready for it to be very hands-on and more intensive, and not as like self-guided, then I think the flagship would be perfect for you, because you'll be talking with me at least 4 days a week as long as your schedule allows, and then once one-on-one for an hour every month. And there's going to be people in the community that are going to hold you accountable too on the calls also. So that's another thing. Um, I think if you're ready for that and you want to take it heads on, go ahead and jump into the flagship program. If you're thinking that you more so want to go a self-guided approach, and kind of dip your toes in and get a feel for things, or maybe you just don't have the time, then I think that Recruiter Plus would be a better option for you. So it's really for, I guess, for you to decide, is how intense do you want it, and are you ready to like fully commit, with the time constraints that are put in place from the flagship program.
And to add on that, so one of the big key differences between Recruiting Accelerator Plus and our flagship is, like Jesse mentioned, the intensity of the flagship. What you're essentially buying there is our guarantee. When you go into the flagship, we can guarantee your success. When you go into Recruiting Accelerator Plus, since it's more self paced, go at your own flow, kind of when you've got time, we can't guarantee your success in 10 months. We can guarantee you the process works. But in flagship, we literally say if you do not make a placement within 6 months, we'll refund your entire enrollment fee. So that's the two big key differences between the programs is having that guarantee within 6 months because of the one-to-one, because of the accountability and everything else that comes with it, versus you've still got a guarantee that our program works in Recruiting Accelerator. We just can't say within 6 months you're going to make it. Now, the caveat to that is, like John mentioned earlier, the challenge. When you do make Recruiting Accelerator Plus work and you show us, hey, I just placed this person, we want to celebrate with you and we're going to bring you into the flagship program at no additional cost. So It's
Yeah.
ultimately a personal decision and one that you'll only be able to make for yourself. If you want success faster, flagship is the guarantee. If you want
Well,
success and you need to learn a few skills and kind of take things at your pace, Recruiting Accelerator Plus is more affordable, and it'll be there as you're ready. So
so at this point, guys, at the very beginning of the webinar, I'm not sure who might have been there, but I did kind of tease out a little special bonus that we say we keep to the very, very end for those people who enroll. Or for those people who stick to the end, I want to give a little bonus. So the bonus is this. Right now, you guys have the link to enroll. Someone just signed up here for the Plus program. Welcome. So anyone who signs up for the 297 Plus program, I'm gonna reach out to you personally and invite you to do a one-on-one coaching call with me, or you could pick, or Jesse, whoever you want to coach you. And either me or Jesse will personally give you a coaching call to kick off your journey in the subscription. And this is something that's not going to be offered in a replay. Josh, make sure that we chop off this part from the webinar replay. This is only for you guys who are in attendance. So meaning for 297, Jason and I, we charge a lot more money for our consulting services.
Yeah.
Yeah. But like we want to say thank you. You guys took over an hour, sat with us here, took the time to hear about our stories. Hopefully you found some nuggets in there that can apply to you. But yeah, you guys, I just go to the link that I dropped below in chat. Click on the 297, enter your information, sign up, and then I'll be reaching out to you and inviting you to a one-on-one call with me. And I'll personally either help you with your niche, your any questions you have about non-competes or conflict of interest, setting up automations, whatever you want, and we'll kick off that journey together. And then at that point, you'll be well on your way. You can jump on weekly coaching calls with Jesse. But if I reach out, you say, no, John, I want to talk to Jesse, I won't get offended. You can, Jesse can be your personal one-on-one. So, and we normally do one-on-one onboardings only for our $10,000 flagship program. As you can imagine, we have limited time, and that's not something that we can do to the public once we go live tomorrow. Once we kind of broadcast a replay, this does not be offered to them. But for you guys in attendance, just click on the link there in the school program. I'll drop it one more time. Click on that, and then you will be able to enroll. And let's see here, who signed up. It was, yeah, I'll reach out to you guys, and then we will set up a coaching call and help you get started. Any last minute questions, Josh, or people who are still listening, that we can kind of
Could I
wrap
interject
this up?
one thing
Yeah.
at the end? I've had this thought, and it's going to drive me crazy if I don't say this. So I was thinking more about when they asked about the flagship versus Recruiting Accelerator Plus. So this is when we talked about what I wish I would have had if I restarted and did Affirm again. One would be a turnkey solution or a blueprint, and secondarily would be coaching and mentorship. So with Recruiter Plus, you have the turnkey solution with, I mean, we even threw in some coaching in there, but so if you just want the turnkey solution and you want to do it at your own pace with some coaching and Q&A once a week, that's the one for you. If you're thinking that you want both the things that I think would have helped me, like when I started, which would be the turnkey solution / blueprint, and then a mentor being myself, that we meet 4 days a week with a group and then 1 day monthly, then that's what I would advise you do. So they're both going to be helpful, but if you feel like you need both right now, then I would go with the flagship. If it's more so you just want the turnkey solution, the blueprint, I would go with Recruiter Accelerator Plus and then kind of feel things out. And if you want to come into the flagship, I'll take you with open arms, and I'll provide the mentorship and coaching as well. But that's just kind of my thoughts. And I was thinking about that and wanted to make sure I said it to all you guys.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much. I don't have anything else. Joshua, anything on your end?
No, it's I think that's most of the questions about flagship versus Recruiting Accelerator Plus. So if you guys do have any more questions about that, like John mentioned, reach out to myself, Joshua at recruitingaccelerator.com, or John at recruitingaccelerator.com, Jesse, or another member on our team, LJ, and we can get all the questions answered for you there. But yeah, at this point, we're kind of running out of time. We will put this replay together, and you guys will see a few emails over the next few days with more details in it. And then what John mentioned tonight, those kind of bonuses and everything extra, that will only be available until Sunday evening. Those won't be listed in the emails because they weren't here for the workshop. So yeah, if you guys were here, make sure we know about that. That way we can kind of
Mhm.
get it noted that you guys get access to that stuff. Otherwise, yeah, if you guys have any other questions at all, definitely reach out to us. And yeah, we thank you guys for coming. Hopefully you guys got a few golden nuggets out of it, at least a little more confidence that you can do this. Especially if you're familiar with recruiting, have an interest in being an entrepreneur. We've seen people come in here with barely any of that and make it work. So you guys, yeah, hopefully you got everything you need to finally move forward and chase your dream instead of just thinking about it for another day. And if you want our help, we're here to help you every step of the way.
Absolutely. Great. Thanks so much, guys. Have a great rest of
Cool.
your day. Have a great weekend, and look forward to seeing you in the program.
Yep.
Cool.
See you guys.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye now.